and they're entitled to take it, but it shows where their priorities lie. At the same time, the website also blames voluntary student unionism for the decline in its advocacy services. Any fair-minded person could see that this student union has placed greater priority on producing this radio program and having their bit of ideological fun than actually providing the sort of advocacy services that students would want and that would be relevant to students. We've also seen a recent example where the student union at the University of Melbourne recently removed about $18,000 from its clubs and societies budget to give those funds to the National Union of Students. So you tell me where the benefit is for students there, when those members who are members of the clubs and societies, I'm sure, would have vehemently disagreed with that money being taken out and given to the National Union of Students. But under these guidelines and under this bill, that would be not only a legitimate, but a necessary allocation of funds, because you could easily argue within these broad guidelines that it was essential in the interest and advocacy and representation of students that the National Union of Students received even more funding. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Australian Liberal Party is passionate about freedom of association, and it's one of the party's fundamental tenets. Whether it's membership of a union, an employer organisation or a student representative body, an individual shouldn't be forced to join an organisation against their will. And we shouldn't separate students from the argument of voluntary association. By and large, they are adults. By and large, they have the ability to decide for themselves. We've always believed that it's not up to politicians, it's not up to the minority who are involved in student politics to decide what's in the best interest of students. We believe that students can best decide that for themselves. But the Labor Party, in coming to office at the recent federal election, has said, no, let's turn back the clock. Let's return to the status quo. Let's compel students to pay for something that they don't want and may not use. Let's help out those student union friends of ours who are struggling to adapt to the 21st century. Let's go back to creating a nice, cushy cash flow with no accountability and no consequences. This bill is a new tax on students. It is a disgraceful return, effectively, to compulsory unionism. It represents a shameful broken promise. It's poorly drafted and will cause the government far more headaches than it's actually realised, and treats students, adult students, with utter contempt. It's only a very, very thinly veiled attempt to reinvigorate student unions, guilds, call them what you like. And we on the coalition say no to new taxes, leave students alone and treat them with some basic respect. And student unions can survive and thrive if they're accountable to their membership, if they respond to the needs and wishes of their members. But this bill and these guidelines will not only return to the bad old days of effective compulsory student unionism, but they go even further. They go even further by imposing these draconian obligations on tertiary education providers. Mr Deputy Speaker, I urge the House to oppose this bill. It is regressive. It is a huge cost impost on students, and I hope I do not see it come to light.